The activity of telling stories in order to make sense of the universe and our place in it is as old as humanity itself. Life story monologues have become a signature part of iMove's programming. We rolled out our first workshop at the Nova Scotia Youth Facility in 2009, and we've been doing it ever since. Our latest collaboration has been with the students from the Adult Learning Program at the Nova Scotia Community College. Needless to say, when I got the invitation from Catherine McKinnon and Melissa Randall to be a part of their Fearless Fridays, it was incredibly exciting. Because again, here was a group of people doing and using story in similar ways that we were doing at iMove. What you're about to see, the Kintsugi Monologues, is our latest efforts. And it really is about taking things that are broken and repairing them. And in that repair, they become so much more beautiful. That's what Kintsugi is. It's an ancient Japanese craft around using golden seal to repair broken ceramics. Not hiding the brokenness, but actually enhancing and beautifying it by making it visible. So the Kintsugi Monologues attempt to do just that. We are stronger and more beautiful because of the work we do around the internal conflict and hurt that we often experience because of life's varying circumstances. But is there anything that you want to say before you go into your story?
No, not really. Just gonna tell the story how it is.
We're gonna tell the story how it is?
Just how it is.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm Nelson Bills. This is my story, change of life. I say about 6.5, my dad learned me how to drive. He had a nice truck. I really liked the dad. Around the same time, I used to help my dad work on the truck mechanically, brake work, engine work, cleaning. So I'm kind of familiar with cars. And so as I go older, my dad leaves my life. He moves on to another lady. That's kind of was hurtful because he was there most of the time. And I'd say about 13, I started to get in trouble with the law. Started stealing from stores. I didn't have to because if I wanted something from my mom, my dad, I'd get it. Maybe it was just the wrong crowds I hung around in school. I started stealing cars, started breaking into people's houses, started selling drugs, started getting money from girls out there doing this and doing that. Started all kinds of stuff that I should know at the end of the day I shouldn't be doing. I turned 18 and I robbed this girl, got caught for it. I did 9 months. I went to Waterville, back and forth. I got out. I tried to change my life around. One of the girls that I used to deal with, she had a little boy for me at the age, I was about 19, 20. That was the most beautiful thing ever. Around the same time, I lost my grandmother, the most valuable thing that wasn't my life. I know she's up there watching over me. I wish she was here to see the better things that I do in life than I used to do. But she's not. But I feel now where I'm at in life, it's much better. I started going to NSCC, about 27 ALP. So I take the best of it, and I appreciate everything that everybody's done for me to help me get to where I am. And as of now, I'm 28. This is where I am. And a better life. Life is good. It's fabulous. I just hope it continues to go that way.
My title for my story was going to be The Journey of Becoming, but that's changed a little bit over the process of making this film. My story now, I think, would have to be called Blank Pages, because I'm no longer held by the things that held me in the past, and I can look forward to what's coming with an anticipation that I didn't have before this process started. I came up through my life shouldering a lot of pain, a lot of labels that were put on me by other people, and I adopted them as being my own. I didn't have any confidence that I was able to do anything myself because I had been told so many times that I couldn't. So through sharing my story and unpacking, taking pieces out, examining them, making correlations between what I do now and what I did then, I learned a lot about myself. I learned that I am more than what they said I was. I learned that I do have things that I can offer. And I learned that because so many people have gone through the same things as I have, that I have a connection with other people. It's like you have a mirror that's inside you that's shattered, and you only let people see certain parts of it. So they don't get to see the whole who you are and who you've been and the hurt that you carry with you, because the bad things that have happened in your life or that you've done in your life are things that you don't want people to associate you with. So they retain a hold on your life. They tie you back. They don't let you move forward because you're always guarding that part of yourself, and you're always internally, even when you don't think about it, you're always internally thinking, if they only knew, or if somebody says something, but they don't know. But when you lay it all out and you have nothing left that you've held back, then those pieces aren't dark anymore. The mirror's all one, because now it's a true reflection of who you are. When I was in grade 1, I had a teacher named Mrs. Weil who was brutal. She was a sadist. I had had surgery and I needed to be able to have access to the bathroom because I wouldn't have been able to hold everything very long. And I put up my hand to be able to go, and she said, no, it's 15 minutes till recess, you can wait. And I couldn't wait, so my bladder let go. And she grabbed me by the scruff of the neck and pulled me off my chair. And in front of the whole class, she said, you're no better than a dog, I should rub your face in this. That scarred me from my experience in school forever, until I started with the adult learning program. When I started, I was amazed that I could walk into a school and not be physically ill. Now it's getting close to graduation, and there's no place that I'd rather be. It's the most comfortable environment that I can be in. So that's what the letting go does and the telling does, is it frees you to experience blockages, like the removal of blockages in your life. If I hadn't have done that, I never would have learned that I loved school. You know, I loved school before this happened, and now I love school again.
How would you describe your life? How would you describe it?
It was like a whirlwind. It was just ups and downs. I mean, I didn't know I was doing wrong when I was doing wrong. All my friends were into the drugs. My boyfriend at the time was into them, so I just ignored everything my parents would say. I mean, I was very cruel to my parents at the time. I just didn't care, and I lived with my mom and my dad until I was about 5, and they split up. My dad was like in and out of jail, and they just didn't work out. So me and my mom, we moved in with my grandparents, and she got into some like really hard drugs, and she was young, so she wasn't around much, and so I was kind of basically living with my grandparents full time, but back and forth at my dad's too. I ended up meeting a guy who was 4 years older than me, and things were great, but he was into drugs and I wasn't. I was completely against it. He ended up getting me into it one day, told me to take 3 pills and it'd be a fun time, and ever since then, well not now, but starting then, I started doing drugs every day, every weekend. I ended up moving in with him in his basement at his parents' house. And then he started to get very abusive. I was trapped there basically. I mean, no one knew besides my best friend, and I used to have to hide in there, I think, for a couple weeks before the black eye would go away. Finally, I met a guy named Avery, who's my boyfriend now, and he wasn't into those kinds of drugs. I mean, he partied, but not like that. And I was 19, or I just had turned 19 at the time, and I found out I was pregnant. So that was awesome. His name's Carson. He's gonna be 1 on the 30th. I don't know, he just brings complete joy to me. Like, I've never experienced something like that. I mean, I never wanted kids. I've just wanted to party, and then now that I have him, it's like I couldn't imagine going back and doing those things.
Talk a little bit about your future. Where are you headed?
Well, next year I will hopefully, as if it goes well, be graduating the ALP program, and I already applied to business, so September 2017 I'll be going into business at the waterfront, and basically, yeah, I just want to do that. I just got a job also, so that was good. I haven't had a job in a long time, so I'm just trying to get the money situation good, and I don't know, I want to provide a really good life for my son, because I mean mine was good, but it could have been better. So I just want to do the best for him that I can.
Can you describe the path you're on now?
Well, the reason I came back to Nova Scotia is my oldest daughter was given up for adoption just after she was born. And I had no idea where she was. I wasn't told, I wasn't a part of any of the decisions about anything, and I had no idea. And she got a hold of me about 4 years ago on Facebook. And that's when I decided it was time to stop drinking and doing drugs and get my ass down here and see my kid. And then ever since then, I've just been trying to, make a life with my kid and get to know her and try to make my life better, and hopefully, try to be a good example for her. I don't know, I always wanted to go back to school. I always felt really bad about not finishing school, because it was one thing when I was younger I always wanted to do. I always wanted to finish school. I always wanted to go to university, like that. Since I was a kid, that's what I wanted to do. That, or, be a famous rock star. So since that didn't work out, I guess go back to school. I guess my mother always really impressed on me that how important school was, and then watching her go back as an adult, she did the same thing. She went to college, and then she went to St. Mary's University. I ended up living in Loyola residence and family residence when I was a kid, and I guess I was always just really proud of her for going and doing that and having the courage to, at her age, go back and be around all these young kids, and have to deal with that. And for me, I guess it was always really important to get that done, and when I didn't, it really always bothered me. I in fact lied about it lots. I've lied about having my grade 12 a million times. That's how much it bothered me. I didn't want people knowing.
Can you talk to us a little bit more about your relationship with your mom?
I guess that's part of rebuilding things too. Like I said, I lived in the street most of my life, so as you can guess, our relationship wasn't all that great. I blamed my mother for my father not being around most of my life, so. And spent a lot of time again, really, with her. And I guess we're just taking the time to become friends now, trying to repair that.
So you're looking at the finish line, or a finish line, because I'm sure there are going to be many after that.
Of course,
but we're looking towards a finish line in terms of school.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about that?
I don't know, it's exciting. I guess we have our work term starts on the 20th of June, June. We finish a little later than everybody else. We finish June 17th, but yeah, I'm really excited. Like I said, I'm talking a little bits of construction here and there and stuff, but it's mostly been small jobs and stuff like that. Now we're going to be in industry and doing big buildings and stuff like that. It's not going to be residential. I'm pretty excited to get on the job site. Actually, I really like doing stuff like that. I've always really liked building things. It's really nice to be able to look at something and go, I did that, you know what I mean? I guess more than anything, I'm more afraid of screwing up again. It seems to be my pattern of how I've done things most of my life. My big mouth or my attitude gets in the way, or been drinking and drugs, and so yeah, it's pretty scary. And I don't want to have to look at people and say I couldn't do it. Myself and say I couldn't do it really, but
I think if I were to give my story a title, it would be choices, not necessarily all mine, choices that were made for me and choices that I make myself. They make who you are. I think I grew up in a pretty normal-ish family. I had my mom and my stepfather and an older sister. My stepfather was military, so we moved around quite a bit. I don't really have any lifelong friends. We moved, I think when I was in my mid-20s, I figured out that I lived in over 30 different homes at that point. We moved to Ontario at one point. My mother and stepfather broke up while we were there, so we moved back to Nova Scotia, which was fantastic. I was back with my family. The school that I was in, I loved. I think I did 3 years with the same friends. Then we moved and I had to change schools. I didn't want to change schools. So at that time, if you didn't go to school, it was called truancy. And I was truant. Ended up in court. I got sent to Shelburne, which was the school for boys at one point. And then they figured out I shouldn't be there. So they sent me to Truro, which used to be the school for girls. And then eventually I ended up in foster care. Luckily, I was able to choose my foster family. So they were people that I knew, and I felt safe and comfortable. So at 16, I was in an apartment. I was still with the children's aid and whatnot, so they were helping me. But I still had to pay rent. So I dropped out of school, and I worked full-time at a gas station to pay my rent. So I decided I didn't really have a strong relationship with my father. I knew he was my dad. I saw him. I traveled with him and things. He worked overseas. And when I was 18, I decided, okay, it's time for me to get to know my dad. I moved to South Africa with him. That's where he was at the time. And we had a few good months. And then I started to ask questions about why. What had happened and why was he so distant when I was a child and things like that. He didn't like the questions. So I left South Africa when I was 19, and that was the last time I spoke to my father. Then I got my own life. I left that, and so I got my job, and I started in retail. I worked my way up to the head office. I got where I wanted to go without high school, mind you. This was all with, grade 9. I had the, I had the good job. I had the company car. I had all of that. But in order to get all that, I had to go to Montreal, and I wanted to come home.
I knew David when I was in Montreal. Anyway, David and I, this is 15 years ago. We're now, we have an 11-year-old beautiful son. He's the light of my life. He's why I get up at 5:30 every morning. And last year I decided that I wanted my education. I think in order for me to get him through it, I can't tell him that I quit. So, but just after I decided that I would come back, my grandmother passed away. And I almost didn't start the ALP program because it just, my grandmother was she was my rock, really. But anyway, I came back to school and met some fantastic people. And I've home for 10 years with Noah. So now it's just the choice to choose Michelle first right now and to give to me for just a little bit and get something that I need and I want.
This is what you get. This is what you get when you mess with us. For a minute there, I asked myself.
I think the thing that affected me most personally was the timeline, creating the timeline and then peeling back the layers. Because when you're young and things happen to you, you don't have the emotional maturity to deal with them as you would as an adult, so they never get fully dealt with. So by going back there and dealing with those things now, it created a freedom and a liberation from things in the past. I think I would tell somebody that's just going to do this project for the first time to tear down the walls, like lay it all out. Don't keep anything back, don't keep anything secret, because until you fully lay everything out, you're not going to heal from it.